All right, everybody, good afternoon. We're going to keep this train moving with safeties. We've got some more likely day two guys, and we're starting off with a Georgia Bulldog, Christopher Smith. Uh, 23 years old, 5'11, 192 pounds, 31 and 1/8 inch arms, 9 and 5/8 inch hands. Tested okay ish, not great, honestly, not the best. But you're part of that Georgia defense. You're going to get a lot of credit. It's been a very good defense these last few years. So actually, a lot of the major big boards that I use have him as a day three guy. The Draft Network and Sports Illustrated have him day two. The aggregate, however, does have him on the very back end of round three. So for the moment, I do think he is viewed most appropriately as a day two guy, but he's right on the line. It could go either way. Um, Last year was his best year. He gave you 15 full games of action, a little over 4 tackles a game, 5 for loss, a sack, 3 interceptions, 5 passes defensed, 70.6 PFF grade in coverage. Year before, not nearly as prolific, but still an impact player, 3 interceptions. So decent ball hawk skills, I guess you could say. Not a lot of overall ball production, but 6 interceptions over 2 years is pretty good for a safety. This is another guy who brings versatility to the table. He can be a box safety, he can be a deep safety, and he can be a slot corner. I think all that is in his repertoire, so you are getting a guy who can play multiple positions. He's an aggressive and hard hitter when tackling. I think that he is a overall pretty good, although not perfect tackler. He's got great instincts as well. They've been hardened over these last couple of years playing for an elite defense. He understands where to go, has a good feel for where the ball is going to go and how to get there. His ball skills are pretty good as well. um, Takes it away a good amount. His technique and fundamentals are really, really solid. And while this isn't a huge deal for our current defense, he's got really good transitions when he flips the hips to go from facing towards the line of scrimmage to away from the line of scrimmage. So you put him in man coverage in the slot, and if he needs to flip the hips to like protect against a vertical route, he's going to be able to do that. So a lot of stuff to like with Chris Smith. Been a very successful safety these past couple years. I do think he needs to get better as a tackler. Sometimes he just tries to go for the big hit and doesn't wrap up properly. He does need to get a little bit better at tackling. Now, Seattle's a pretty good place to learn how to tackle most of the time. Um, if there's any place in the NFL where he'll learn to properly tackle, it'll probably be here. He does have short arms, which does create problems when he gets engaged with a blocker. Wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, offensive linemen, whoever, he can't shed them very well. And his size does become a little bit of an issue. He gets boxed out by bigger receivers from time to time. So he's he's definitely an interesting and pretty good prospect, but it seems like there's a little bit of a low ceiling here. Um, I don't think he'll ever be a superstar. He's too small and he didn't test well enough for me to feel like there's superstar potential here. But I would take him in round four. If he's there in round four, I'm all over that because he's well rounded, has good flexibility. It's just a matter of his size and his athleticism maybe not being quite good enough to be a star in this league. But he can be a good safety in this league for sure. So I would say that Chris Smith, basically, as soon as day three kicks off, I'm on him. But before then, I just don't see the upside. I'm just not quite there yet. Maybe he could be like an Earl Thomas, but he's not even that fast. All right, Jordan Battle next up here. Alabama Crimson Tide, another big time defensive program. 22 years old, 6'1", 210 pounds, 32-inch arms, 8.5-inch hands, 4.55 40, 1.56 10-yard split. Okay, not the best, but not the worst. Most of the big boards have him in the third round. One actually had him in the second. The aggregate has him in the third. And this guy's given you a lot of production the last 2 years. 28 games, 150 plus tackles, 4 interceptions, 5 passes defensed. Really good PFF coverage grade last year, 85.2. So he's been one of the stalwarts of an elite Alabama defense. Well, not as elite as it's typically been in the past, but it's been a very good defense for the last several years for Alabama, and Jordan Battle's been a huge part of it. He had many, many starts prior to these 2 years, by the way. 2020, 2019. He played a lot of college football. He has the flexibility to play deep. He can play as a free safety. He can play as a strong safety in the box. And he can play in the nickel. Another one of these safeties that if you get him is going to offer you a lot of stuff. He's a very smart and heady player, really understands the higher level intricacies of playing safety in this league, really understands the intricacies of things like zone defense and route running and things like that. He's a really smart player. He's got a strong combination of size and athletic ability. He's a good deal bigger than the guy we just looked at in Chris Smith, but actually is faster and about as quick. So he has much more upside to me. He makes plays sideline to sideline. He's always hunting the ball down. The fact that he had 85 tackles in 15 games a couple years ago is pretty indicative of that. He's a great tackler. He's fast, and he has great short area quickness and moves very fluidly in coverage, so he can hang there. He's a big hitter as well. When he has the opportunity to line up a running back or a wide receiver for a big hit, he lays the wood. He's really good at reading route combos in zone and then jumping on the ball, which is something that we're going to definitely value if he was here in Seattle. So really, really like this Jordan Battle guy a lot. His main issues are when he's manned up against quicker receivers, his speed is going to fail him. Like, there are just going to be guys out there who can outrun him. If you try to leave him in the slot in man coverage, you may have problems. The good news is we mostly run zone. As of right now, we are mostly a zone defense. That can change. But if we do not run a lot of man, then I'm not really that concerned about him not being able to deal with quicker receivers. That's a problem for a specific situation. But I don't think he's necessarily going to be a huge negative in that area either. It's just something to know that it's not going to be his strength. Sometimes his angles when he comes up in run support are a little overly aggressive, and he doesn't make the play that he could have made because of it. Again, I don't think it's a huge problem. I think it's just something he needs to work on. So, Jordan Battle, I really like this guy. In a vacuum, I think he's worth a second-round pick. I would spend a mid-second-round pick on Jordan Battle. I think he's a really good safety, and honestly, him and Branch are my two favorite safeties in this draft. So I like both the Alabama guys a lot. I think they bring a lot of Fangio-type skills to the table here. I think they have a lot of versatility that is coveted here. And for me, if we need a safety, if we truly do need a safety, I would spend a second-round pick on Jordan Battle. Now, we kind of don't. We don't need one enough to spend a second-round pick on one necessarily. But I think the value is right if you get down to 51, 52 and he's still there. Big fan of Jordan Battle. Second favorite safety in this class. I would be perfectly fine getting him in the second. All right, last guy in this video is going to be Jammie Robinson. I think it's Jammie Robinson of Florida State. This is a guy we had in for a top 30 visit, by the way. 22 years old, 5'11", 191 pounds, kind of short arms, 29 and 5/8 inches, 8 and 3/4 inch hands. Tested, okay, not the best though. 23 bench press reps is pretty good for a safety, but kind of slow, not quick. Jumps were mediocre. Some big boards have him day 3, some have him day 2, right around that area. On the aggregate, he's currently just inside the mid to late third area. Very productive though. 25 games, he's given you 183 tackles, 12 tackles for loss, so a lot of plays made behind the line of scrimmage. 5 interceptions, including 4 in 2021. 8 passes defensed, good coverage grade last year, forced a couple fumbles the year before. So he's another guy who's going to give you good flexibility. He proved himself capable of playing strong safety, free safety, linebacker, and nickel cornerback at the college level. So versatility is the name of the game with a lot of these safeties here. He's got good short area quickness as well. I know his testing wasn't great, but he is good at mirroring receivers when he's in man. He's got a nose for the football. The fact that he's making all these tackles is pretty indicative of that. Always finds himself around the ball. Constantly even making plays in the backfield, like I said. We're 12 tackles for loss in 25 games. He's a high-effort guy, always giving maximum effort out there. He was considered one of the team leaders for the Seminoles. He's a great overall tackler. He comes up hard in run support, And I believe that he has the understanding of zone defense to be good in zone and the short area quickness to be good in man. So I believe whatever scheme you're running, you're going to be able to find room for Jammie Robinson. So a lot of stuff to like with Jammie Robinson for sure. Now, the question is how much of that flexibility will carry over to the NFL? Because I look at this guy and I say, okay, yeah, he played free safety in college some and he was fine. Is he going to be able to do that at the NFL level? I'm not convinced. I think he'll be a much better box safety in the NFL. You put him up close to the line of scrimmage, you let him play the run, you let him basically be like another linebacker in the box up there, come up and run support. I think you're going to get better stuff. Now, he is a little bit on the smaller side for that, but I think that's his game. I think that's his game. His ball production over the last couple years has been, I mean, he's got 8 passes defensed in his last 25 games. That kind of tells me that this is a player who's better off in the box, playing the run, and getting the opportunity to be more aggressive. So, limited ball production, and his testing, I don't know. I'm not in love with these testing numbers. I've seen much better. There are definitely things that he could have brought to the table that would make me overlook that, but I don't know if I'm seeing it. So, this is a respectable prospect. I'm not convinced that everything he did in college is going to translate well to the pro game. I think he'll be leaving some stuff behind. But I do believe that he'll give you a box safety who can be like a fourth linebacker, or I shouldn't say fourth, another linebacker up there, and maybe even give you a little nickel corner flexibility. So once day 3 gets here, once we get to round 4, I'm in. I don't think I can do it round 3, though. I don't like him quite enough to get him in round 3. But if he's still there in round 4, I'll hop on it and feel okay about it, feel pretty good about it. And I wouldn't be furious in round 3 or anything because there is quite a bit to like with him. It's just, I don't think the upside's quite there. All right, those are some safeties. More coming later. See you guys soon. Go Hawks.